I've only been in business like 2 years, and I feel like I'm just learning all the time from different people that I meet, and every time that I get to work with someone, it's nice to be able to learn from them. Seeing you guys and what you've established here already, and the kind of businesses you work with, and just the relationships that I see you build, and it's just great. I'd love to know more about, when I was watching the video and looking at your website and like looking at like how you guys work with other businesses and what you put out there, and it was, watched the video and it was like we're a collective, we're kind of like a group of people that just came together organically, and then what you've built is now a lot bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
How does it feel now? Does it still feel the same as when you first opened, or like where?
It doesn't feel the same. It's definitely evolved. I think it feels the same in the sense of the collaboration. I think still exists it exists organically just based on what we do. The things we're making have never been made before and will never be made again. So every piece is different, and there's processes to be repeated, but every single piece, something's different, And so there is that collaboration still. I think we've created sort of atmosphere, culture of everybody takes ownership, but also like nobody feels under too much pressure. It's a pretty relaxed environment. So I feel like everybody, in that sense, we're collaborative, but we've just tried to improve our processes to be able to make things a little more repeatable or teachable. So I think a lot of those things feel the same. I think based on what, like you were saying, relationships being built, we're not like clawing to find work. I feel like because we're been around for a little while and have a bunch of work out there.
So what changed like when you guys first opened, and like it was like it came together organically, it was kind of natural? You were like, how would you describe like a group of guys that just were passionate about building things and designing?
Well, it started, you need a space to build things, and it started with me basically. Matt and I went out on our own, 2 separate spaces at the same time. And my space, I had a little bit larger space and had more equipment, and Matt was working out of his garage at the time. And then shortly after that, Matt came along. I said, move in with me, help me pay rent, because it helps to share in that sense. And then we had a handful of other guys come along from relationships that we built in the past, looking for spaces to work. And it basically started as like a shared workspace for the most part. We were all splitting rent and collaborating with each other and sharing clients for the most part too. Because I mean, larger scale projects, if it's just one guy in his own company, you need more hands on deck to build things. So we were all hiring each other, and we were finally like, let's just become a collective.
Cool. So, and I mean, for me, like, it sounds really, really nice right now, and really like, it was really great, and we like rainbows, and you know what I mean? Like, it was like really easy. We all just came together. We all had, but like, watching your thing, like you said, it started with so many, then it went down to 3, then to 2, then back to 3. Like,
right.
If you can, like, what really does it feel like? You know what I mean? Because like my partner is my wife. I'm going into partnership with some other people on the next space, and it's a lot of different personalities, right? Like, people want to go this way, some people want to go that way. How do you manage that, and like, how does that end up? Because there's a bit of tension sometimes. And things like that,
I think the difference and the difference between how we started and you're starting is you have a little bit more ability to plan what you're doing and choosing those partnerships. Like what we had completely happened organically. And I wouldn't take anything back, but there might be some things that we would change, and we're ever evolving now too.
Like if somebody came in now and it was the same, like, I want to come and join this, you have a different metric of how you judge people now, right?
Sure,
it's not just like, that sounds cool, oh yeah, we just want to pay rent.
Let's
now
try
it's
this
like,
again.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, so that's been a huge evolution. It's a collective in the collaborative sense, and there actually are multiple business owners besides Pat and myself within B10. Everyone's kind of has a different format, and so you're right. There's no more like, oh cool, we need help paying rent. You can move in and see how it goes. Like we're at the point now where it's not really about that anymore. We don't really need help paying rent. It's more about who's the right fit for for what we do. And I think in a lot of senses, we've set it up like a regular company. Like Pat and I sat down and compiled our core values and what's our vision and who is our client and like what kind of atmosphere do we want to have in the shop. And so
what forced you to that then? Was there like a moment where you're like, we can't just keep...
Well, yeah, it started with Matt and I.
Yeah.
And then 4 years go by, it was a revolving door of people. And then Matt and I were sitting.
What values did you two have that people weren't bringing? Like, why are you different?
It didn't have anything to do with it. It just came back to the point where workflow stayed the same. Yeah. But with people coming and going, it was an inconsistent work environment. And so 4 years goes by, and it's Matt and I sitting here again, just us two, just the way we started. And we're like, all right, we can't just have this revolving door going again. We need to kind of change the way.
Yeah, so I think the format of who's a partner or who's a member or whatever we want to call it, it's all very generic. But yeah, I think the way it started was sort of out of a sense of desperation. Like we all were coming from jobs that were either ending or we were leaving, or we had a company set up that we were doing stuff on the side and we wanted to quit. And so we were just kind of doing what we could to find people to help us get our stuff done, trade for helping get their stuff done, and try to like scrape by for the first couple months and be in business. And so now that we've had sort of a turnover of different people within the collective, it just made us feel like, man, it's not that they didn't fit with the values, it was just the direction that they were going changed. It felt like taking on a partner and having to buy that partner out if they want to go somewhere else. And so we just kind of said, this is complicated and complex. And we sort of for a while said, we've realized that the collateral damage of a partner leaving took 6 months or more to kind of catch up and get the format back right. So we said, why don't we just sort of change the way we do this? We decide where we want to go and who we want to be and who we want our client to be and what our vision is, and anyone who's interested, for one, has to agree on those things. If there's something in our value system that you don't like, it's like, well, then that might not be a good fit. So that was just one way of kind of defining who we partner with on a daily basis, because I mean, all of us work together all day long.
And nobody that has left with bad blood. Like we've been excited what everybody has gone off and done after this. And we're still great friends with everybody that's ever been a part of the collective, which is a cool thing. And then like, even when it comes to having employees now, an employee, like we're pushing these guys to go. I mean, we know these guys aren't going to work with us forever, but I think that's one of, especially Matt's big core values, and I love it, is that we're pushing these guys to go do what they want to do. Like, Nick's an artist, and that's what he really wants to do, and he has some other side projects that he wants to do, and we want him to do that. Matt's been great about setting.
Because a lot of people worry about that stuff, right? Like they're like, we're going to teach them all this stuff, and then they're going to go and do it somewhere else. Right. Whereas you guys know, like the moment that you have them, that's when you're going to get the best out of them, because you're letting them go and do what they're passionate about, right? Otherwise, you're just holding it back all the time, and then it's not good for your company.
Right. No. And I've kind of gotten to the point where if there's anyone here that feels that they can do what we do and what they do better somewhere else, then we haven't really utilized them, because if they got ideas that aren't being heard or aren't being implemented, then we haven't really asked the right questions either. And then we also, we just want to keep people. We want people to work hard, and there's some jobs and tasks that suck sometimes, and they're just repetitive and boring. But we also want to we want these guys to enjoy what they're doing. We want people to come to work and not dread the feeling of their alarm going off, because that's how we feel. Like we love what we're doing, we're passionate about it. We don't try to avoid work, and so we want them to feel that.
When it's your business as well. So 2 years I've only been in business, so the first year it was just a grind every single day, and as much as you love it, it becomes to a point where you don't love it. Every time your alarm goes off, you've had 3 hours sleep, you don't love it anymore. And I imagine it's the same for you guys sometimes, right? When it's a big project, when a lot's going on.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that, I won't say we've worked out the kinks, but we've kind of addressed what's that feeling. Is it stress? Do we not have enough work? Do we not have enough money? Yeah. And so I think one of the things that alleviated that for me from that beginning is you've got to work hard. You've got to push. You've got to work a lot of hours. That's kind of you've got to hustle, especially at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But that stress was alleviated by having partners, people that you can talk to about stuff, people that you do something and install it and it's broken. It's like, well, you're not totally by yourself. You know, it's like, hey guys, I need you for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And like we did that for each other because we knew that we would do the same thing if someone else needed help. And so I think that was a huge part of it. We didn't all have our own separate vision and we were solo. You know, we were part of a team and functioned like a team and felt like we had this support system. And so I think that we definitely ran into tough spots as individual companies and as a group, but I think that partnership was huge, and just being able to have other people around that. And so that's kind of where one of our core values is community, which I feel like is a buzzword that's thrown around a lot, but that's kind of where that came from. Like, there are days where everything's going right for one person and someone else has a client situation or a project situation or a home situation that's like the worst, or it's tough. Mm-hmm. And so I think we just know that we have each other's backs, and
so it's more than a community. It's kind of it is a family.
Yeah, totally. And
then, so is that why you felt you had to get these core values, to make sure people fit that? Because if one person's always helping someone else, eventually there's going to be some resentment there, or something's going to be it's going to eventually break, right? If everybody's not pitching in the same. Yeah. And that must be difficult to manage as a collective, right? Like. Yeah,
and I'd say that is difficult, and I think there's nobody that works with us, either employee, partner, or whatever, that would say, I don't care about any of these values. Mm. If that was the case, then they wouldn't be here at all. But it is something you've got to kind of manage, and I think as leaders, it's our job to say, like, hey, these aren't just the values that we have on our website. Yep. We actually want our lives, like at home and at work, to reflect these things. Like, these weren't just made up because they seem like good ideas. These are things we value as people already, and they're things we think are important that need to make it into business, need to make it into a business model. They need to make it into how we interact.
So to set that example, what is it that you do? Is it like when you see somebody needs help, you're there automatically to do it, or like, is it just leading from the front that way, or is it? Because I mean, I was talking to Nick in there, and I was like, who comes and cleans up all this dust? You know what I mean? Because eventually, and he's like, oh, we do it on a Friday. And I was like, you guys do it? And I was like, yeah, we do it we open some beers and do it. And like, now, is that something that you guys are like, we're in there sweeping the dust too? Or is it, you know what I mean? Like, you're not like, oh, it's time to clean the dust and you're over here on the computer. Or...
Yeah, sometimes it is that way, because we've even had this, and so much of this is expectations, setting correct expectations. I think that our guys know that if they're cleaning and doing mill work and we're in here on the computer, at least for me, they know I'd rather be doing that.
Right.
None of them feel like, oh, these guys just sit in the office and like look at memes all day long. They realize that our passion is actually building. Our passion is not sitting at a computer in the showroom. I don't care if there's air conditioning in here. This is not. I didn't quit my job to sit down. Like I left to do like work with my hands, and so I think they know that they might not be in here right now, but that's because what they're doing is more valuable, and we need them pulling their weight and doing their role.
We're totally transparent with them too about like what clients we're talking to, what could be the next business, because they know like if there's a lull in a couple weeks, like I mean, we'll start doing projects for the showroom or building stuff for in here. So there's never not enough work, but they know what clients we're talking to and stuff. Yeah. And they know that when we're in here on our computers that we don't want to be all the time, but we're drumming up business, and they know about projects that are in the pipeline and all that sort of stuff too. So it's not like, here's a new project, go. Like even them, they're kind of on the
How have
front
you
end
two
of it.
handled that transition from, like that's what you wanted to do? When I started the gym, I wanted to just coach classes. And then eventually the business coach was like, yeah, you can't do that anymore because that's $20 an hour. And then now it's like I'm sitting at a computer all day when like, the goal was to open a gym. Yep. But then it's like you realize it's creating opportunities for other people to do that kind of work, right?
It's creating opportunities, and those guys really love what they're doing too. And I mean, I get that goes back to our core values. They really like what they're doing over there. But back to your question. I don't know. I think Matt and I can look at each other and know when we need to say, all right, just go over there and build something. I know you need to break for a while.
And I think, so another thing that we're working on, and it's not something we do that great yet, is having these sit-down check-in meetings with the guys that work for us and also with each other. Like, we've gotten pretty good about, hey, what are your stressors? What are you stressed out about? What do you not want to be doing?
Yeah.
Because actually, with the team we've put together, the things that one person's good at and loves, the other one or two might not really want to do that. So we really do our best to check in and say, what are you doing that you don't really love to do? Can I take some of that off of your plate? Like for me, I think I might be the only one who enjoys like QuickBooks, invoicing, sending emails, setting expectations with clients about jobs and material, and setting up meetings and all that stuff. I love doing that.
Yeah.
I love working with my headphones on more in the shop.
Yeah.
But we kind of say like, hey, this is what it takes to run a business. You don't have to be the guy stuck in the office and I'm the guy managing people. Like we do a good job of kind of saying, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do this week? What do you want to focus on this month? Yeah. And trying to just alleviate some of that.
Put people in the situation that they're going to do the best work.
Yeah.
Now,
And
like if you hate QuickBooks and you sit at it for 2 hours, it could take you an hour to get it done.
Yeah. And so
enjoy it too, right?
we both have the understanding that we always have to do stuff we hate. Like there's going to be stuff we don't feel like doing. But
do you think
we try to take some of that.
Do you think that's what separates how businesses keep growing and how the businesses will just drift off? Because they just focus on what they love and they forget we have to grow a business. So they forget we have to, like it's like, I really love making a table. Eventually no one's going to know to pay you to make one.
Yep.
If
you're only making tables and nobody knows that you're making tables, it doesn't matter how good you are at making tables if no one knows it. You know? So there is that sense that somebody's got to be forming those relationships, hanging out with people in the city, doing some research and figuring out what's being built, what's coming up, what restaurants are opening, you know? And so I think we do share that responsibility a pretty good bit. None of us feel like there's one person that brings the jobs in, and if that person doesn't sell, we all fail. It's like for Nick, we never would have met you if it wasn't for Nick. And Nick's not in sales. Nick's not a business owner. He doesn't own part of this business, but he sees the value of the community already. He's at Oxfit, right? He sees, because I feel like we have a lot of overlapping values. So he's there and he sees that in all of aspects of his life. And he wanted to bring that in because he sees that the direction that the company's going, and he sees his role in that, And I think that's huge. Like to me, that was like, man, this isn't just a bunch of values that we wrote out and told people and they don't care. Like these guys are in.
That's how you know your values.
These guys are invested. And I hope that that's because he feels like we care about him. Mm-hmm. We sit down with him a lot and say, hey, what did you do this week that you didn't love? Like, I got this thing I want you to do, a project specifically to work on. How do you feel about that? If you hate it, sometimes you got to do it, but sometimes somebody else might love it. So let's move you to a different spot. And so I hope that our everybody on the team kind of feels like, hey, we're not just all in this to crush it and make money and retire. Like we do projects we love. We help each other out when we get to stuff that we don't love, and then, as long as the values are being achieved and everyone's kind of on board with it, it's like everybody's happy. Like that's how we want it to be.
We help each other say no. Things that we don't want to do.
We do. We try to talk each other out of certain jobs a pretty good amount. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's all based on our values.
They're the people to say like, hey, you got to say no to that because that doesn't fit in with what you want to do.
Totally.
Matt and I are both very big people pleasers, and we want to make everybody happy all the time.
Yeah.
But we're learning as you start to grow a company that you need to say no sometimes.
Yeah.
And it helps having the other person to help you say no.
Well, I want to go back to when you said like people, you've had all these people coming in and out, and people left, and I feel like you want to help people and you care about people. I can tell you care about your team. You care about making an amazing product and relationships and like that's something that I really care about. Something that I care about is whenever I have people come in and they want to coach or they want to follow their dream. I've had people tell me the truth, and that was the one thing that helped me get better. Now I know you've had people left, and you say you maintain a good relationship with them. Sometimes you tell people the truth and they leave or they go and do something, and then you've told them the truth and you care about them, you want to see them succeed, but sometimes they might deviate off of that, and that's not the right way. How do you handle that? Because there's got to be people, I know you said everyone left on good terms, but there must be people where you're like, if only they would have stayed and done this, or if only they would have followed this path, they would be way further on than they are now. And I know because I've been through that.
Right.
And you see them making these mistakes, and you tell them, and you feel like you owe it to them, right? I'm sure there's some guys in there, and you're like, this is not good enough. I got to tell you, you might leave because you get pissed off. Might hurt your feelings, And I'm sure there's people that have left with some hurt feelings on some of the shit you said. But you said it because it was coming from the right place, right? Because you knew it would make them better.
Yeah. I mean, my thought on that is, if someone knows that you love them and care about them and care about their best, you have that place to say stuff, And and first of all, it doesn't matter how you treat them. There has to be an understanding that you have a place to say something. Because if you care about somebody and then you just tell them how it is, that's not really good enough. There is an understanding within our group that, hey, what I'm about to say might sting for a second, but you've got to understand that if you're on board, you want the company to get better. And not only that, this is a personal, if you could be better at this, would you want to be? All right, well, let this sting for a second. Because, none of us have this ego that's so huge that somebody could, we could hire someone with zero experience. They could come in and say, why do you do this? I don't think that's efficient. And if it's not, then I'm going to change something. Right. None of us have to, none of us have to stand out and be the star. That's not the point. And so, for me, I think that's something that I can do based on my experience. Because when I first started, I was the least experienced. When B10 started, I was the least experienced. And so I had times where somebody would come over and say, what's this? We can't deliver that. And I'd be like, did I ask you for your opinion? But it stings for a second to hear you suck. Yeah. But when you fix that thing, then on the next project, you don't ever have to fix it again. You fixed it. And so if you can swallow your pride long enough to make the improvement and improve and get better, then it's kind of like, you gotta prune a tree for it to grow the right direction.
This pride thing, it seems to be like, I don't know if people will stick with it, right? Like younger people coming in, and you come and you say it, and you say it's not good enough. Yeah. I don't know if people have that patience anymore. So how do you
I don't either. Yeah. I would say that the team that we've compiled has been great. I don't really feel like
everybody here wants to learn and wants to get better. It's not like we're not hiring advanced woodworkers. We're starting everybody.
Have you had some people leave though that were literally they just didn't want to be a part of that, or was it was just different directions? Okay.
One went to go start another company, which is a good situation for him. Another one
went to a real job with a real salary.
Went to a real job with benefits because he was having a second child, and one went on.
And so now it's just a case of hiring new people. You just have the values down, and they have to fit in with these. They have to be ready to learn, develop.
And that's not to say that we'll always have that success, but I think it's all that we can do is ask people the right questions, figure out what they want out of life. Does this job, does this mesh with you? These might not be your 10 core values, but are these things that you feel like you can get behind? And if they've got that invitation, and it's kind of like you've set this ground, you've set the framework with these values, and if someone has to leave or gets fired or whatever because they're not in line, it's not really going to be that much of a surprise. It's like, that this is what we stand for, and if you don't, at some point, you've either got to sort of, make it happen or fit in, or if you don't, then that's okay too. And there just might not be the place for you. But up until now, this has only been 5 years. We haven't really had any really bad situations. So that could happen in the future. But I think, it's our job to communicate and to set expectations and to just be clear about, where we're going. Because I think if that person does come up, they're going to stand out. Everybody's going to know that because these other guys aren't. These other guys aren't.
You'll have people just look at you and be like, "This doesn't work." And you'll be like, "You're right," and then it's time to have that.
And that's fine. And if we've done everything right, we've tried to set them up for success. And whatever the thing is that the direction they need to go, let's help you get there if we can. So
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I see a lot of parallels between what you guys do and what we do at the gym, because you go to a gym, Globo gym, pay $20 a month, and work out, right? You can go to IKEA and buy a table and build it yourself, right? Like, have you struggled along the way with how you value your service? Like, how did you learn that? How did you learn where to put yourself in the market and be like, this is what it's worth, this is what people are going to pay for it, right? This is what we want to sell it for.
Well, that's ever changing too, because where we all had our own individual projects and we would help each other, our worth was a lot different than now, where we're having to find jobs where we have employees and we have to keep them employed all the time. We have to find what fits best that keeps these guys over there working all the time too.
So do you reverse engineer your prices now to what you want to make from a job, or is it?
Man, I think it's always different.
Because it's such a custom market.
This is such a supply and demand for us. And we don't have really a benchmark to compare anything to. Like, I don't care what West Elm and Room and Board and what some of the stores are selling stuff for. It just doesn't, it's irrelevant, right? And so the supply and demand from a payment standpoint is one thing, but also supply and demand we just got paid for a big job, a very profitable job, but we've also cash flowed all of our employees. So what are we doing in the next 2 weeks? I've got my money and I've done great, but they've already been paid. So now it's our job to create more. So we've definitely taken some jobs lower than they were valued in order to just kind of float the guys' hours. And at the end of it, we went, man, we made no profit. Would we have said yes again? Absolutely, because we just created 180 hours of work that we didn't have. So from that standpoint, there's no standard, I don't think. I mean, we've got some things worked out where we can't go that low. Yeah. And we understand our value, and we've done things for a little too low, but gone, that's worth more. But it really is, it's just based on what's going on with us, and what the demand is for the hours and the work. So it's hard to be really consistent, but most of what we do falls within a range that we're now pretty comfortable with and understand. But that took a lot of time, and that may change in the next 5 years. Who knows?
So the way we're doing the workspace is we're trying to reverse engineer it into like, well, if this is max capacity, this is what we need the business to make to be able to create these opportunities, and then this is what we need it to make to be able to add the value that we want. Because if we're just renting a desk, we can go as cheap as we want, but we want to build something that's a community, right? So that's the value on top of that. Takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of people, man hours, and then that's kind of what you guys do, right? It's like, well, there's a lot of value on top of it that might not be seen at first, right? When someone comes in and they just say, give me a price, you're like, now we have a problem, right? Because like, we're not here to compete on price.
Totally.
And how do you work? Say someone just says, can I have a quote? How do you respond to that? Do you have to respond?
How much is the table?
We get how much is the table?
So I'll let you talk a little.
Because I get that question like, how much is the gym membership? And I'm like, well, this is the price of a gym membership. What are your goals? And as soon as I say, what are your goals? Now we're having a different conversation, because it's not, you just selling me gym membership. It's like, I want to know where you want to go so I can help you get there as a coach. And it's a very different relationship.
We'll get an email or somebody asks us, how much for a dining room table? Okay, well, what material, what size? Is it steel base, wood base? They're like, how much?
Right. And so how do you have to twist that? Do you have to say like, where is it going? What do you want? Like, what range?
At some point we're just like, $3,000. This conversation has gone too long.
No, we've got a system for kind of filtering some of those. And I mean, there's a few things when I get an email like that. So it's either someone just wants to know how much so that they can say click purchase, which is not what we do.
Okay.
Or they're just uneducated in what we do, which is totally fine. Like I don't expect people to say like, I want it to be 8-quarter walnut top and I want it to be this angle on the base and I want this steel and this, like people don't know that and we don't expect them to.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like, hey, thanks for reaching out. Here's 10 questions that we have to have answers to move forward. And if they don't want to deal with that, this is going to be a bumpy road because this is what we do. This is we go back and forth with you to customize what you need. We don't tell you what you need and how big it is and sell it to you.
Right.
We listen and gather information. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what design is. It's listening to what functions, what looks good, how are you going to use this thing, and what's your, as far as budget, like what's your value system? And so, I think I like filtering through those things because we try to make it brief, right? Because who knows what percentage of those jobs land. But I think in reality, that's not our that's not really our target client. Our target client is someone who knows us already, someone who's got a referral, who's seen something that we've done somewhere, or has a friend who has something, because those people are already connected to you on a personal level, and that just goes deeper into our core values. It's like we're not just transactional with our clients. Like we like the relationship and the back and forth, and we want to come hang out at your place when it opens. We don't just want to like take an email, pack it in a box, ship it, and say thanks over email. Like we enjoy that personal touch, and so
that's why the showroom's been a great space to have over the past year too. Just because, like, come by, set up an appointment, come by.
If you're in there,
look at some
all
materials.
the noise going on, you can't really that same.
Come be personal. Come grab a beer with us Friday after 4 o'clock, and let's talk about your table real quick. You know. Yeah,
and then the thing that I liked was like I want to work with you guys. Let's find a way. You know what I mean? Like here's the budget. Let's find a way to make it work. And like it's not like we're not going to do that. Or it's like we want to be a part of it because we like what you're doing.
We like to problem solve. That's a big part of it too.
Yeah, we're all. I mean, we understand that what we do is not cheap, and there's not a place you can walk in and just buy it. And sometimes it's like people want to work with us and they can't afford it. Right. That's fine. We don't have our feelings hurt, but we want to do our best to just not waste our time.
That's tough though, right?
Yeah, because sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But
you could have said yes, and then he's like, "Hey man, we talked about this," and then you're like, "Hey man, we talked about this. We can't say yes."
And I think there's a lot of times when people are like, they're looking for the cheapest thing, and it's an easy like, hey, this isn't the right place. Like, let me recommend you to this website called IKEA.com. I've done that. So I've said what you're looking for. Here's a link to what you're looking for at IKEA. And it's still more expensive than the price you get.
That you're asking for.
We're not the right fit, but it's like I want to respectfully let you know our value and try to push help you if possible. But if this is someone I've never met, like we want to make it brief, respectful.
Yeah.
I have that show our value.
I can't afford $199 or something like that for a gym membership. I'm
That's okay. Here's some options.
Snap Fitness is right here. Right. It's right around the corner, and they have all our equipment. Yeah. The equipment's not what we do. Just so you know, you can find that equipment in a park. You can find, you can buy the table. It's not about the table.
A barn full of tires back here if you want to flip
exactly. Come and flip them in. Yeah. So that's it, right? It's not about the equipment. Absolutely. It's not about what it's about the value.
A lot of times we'll have clients or even friends just say, "Hey, I found this table I really like, but it's a little more than I want to spend," which is dirt cheap anyways, and they'll send a link to it. And they're like, "But I want to support my local around the corner craftsman, so I really want you guys to put a price on this." And we'll just be like, "It's
triple that."
Yeah, it's
we'll
triple that.
And we'll send it to you. This is it. Yeah. And this is how you're going to support
We're
us.
good. We don't need your help. We're doing fine. We're doing
Yeah. But. So when you I was talking to Katie and Lucas when we were in there, and I was saying you don't see people building stuff anymore, and then when I'm talking to you guys, looking at the whiteboard, all the cool businesses that you're working with here that want your products and want to work with you. How have you done that? And then what do you want the legacy of B10 to mean as it keeps moving forward? How are you going to sustain this when you see mass-produced shit everywhere, and then you guys are this little island?
I think it's the relationship is number one that we've said over and over again. That, and then the quality of the product that we produce. I mean, I think those are the top two. That, and which goes back to relationship, is Matt and I are on top of everything. Most contractors and stuff that you work with, there's that lack of communication. Yep. Matt and I won't stop leaving.
Is that how you build the relationship? Then it's just the communication and the
we're
always having time for people kind of thing when they walk in or they
trying to part of it, and staying ahead of everything. Hey, we haven't heard from you guys in 2 weeks. We still have you on the board. We'd love to talk again.
That's exactly what you did with me, and it was Well, I feel like we're friends. You might hate me, but you did a good job. We can't wait to get this project out.
We know how these projects work now, and the windows for us to build these things are always opening and closing. If we get another big job, then we lose another job that we wanted to work on, just because we have to say no because we don't have the capacity.
And it's making that clear, and without because you didn't put pressure on it. It wasn't hey, you need to sign this now. It was hey, just to let you know, there's another project coming up. We don't want it to overshadow yours because this one's worth a lot more than yours, for example. Oh, you know what I mean? We can't say no to this one to build your tables when this one's 3 times the price.
And that's communication, and that goes back to relationship values. So
I think that you know, the products that we make have their own industry, but I think the one thing that we could be the best at in the city is communicating and relationships. Like there are furniture makers out there who have 30 years more experience than me.
Mm-hmm.
There are business owners that have more capital, that have a flow, that have employees, that have more equipment. I don't know that we're really on track to try to get ourselves to that level, but I do kind of feel like it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, that we have the opportunity to be responsive, to be nice people, you know, to give you a good experience, and just to provide a valuable product. It doesn't have to be the best piece of furniture ever made, because a lot of people's value system that's not what someone's always asking. You know, I have an unlimited budget. I want the nicest piece of furniture that has ever been created. It's like no one's ever saying that. People want something.
It's pretty
valuable
amazing
for them.
It's pretty amazing to like talk to you, and then in 5 years, you know, the business is so self-aware. If you know where it sits, you know what your biggest role is. It's that relationships. You know where you got to drive that and communication, and then now I suppose it's like building it around that, right? It's like making sure that you have time to communicate, that you have time to build the relationships, and making sure that that's still running with you guys doing that, and not being like, let's sacrifice communication to go and build this. No, that's got to be top of the list. I need you to go and do this. I need you to go and set that computer. And you're like, but we need you there. Mm-hmm. We need you to go and meet with this client. Even though, we've got these tables backed up. Doesn't matter if they're a day late. Forget it, because we know that that's where it's driving the company forward. Because it's easy for me to go back and be like, well, I got to go and coach classes now and dive into that because I know it so well, and I can just sit there and run on autopilot, you know. But going and learning, like, you need to go and learn these sales funnels, and that's where you got to then step outside yourself, right? So, what's the next step for you guys where you have to really challenge yourselves to?
Good question. There's lots of them. There's lots of those things. Because I mean, I think we go through these 6 month to 1 year phases where we figure something out, and then a year later, some catalyst, right? Like a huge one was moving shops. Shut down to find a new space, to sign a new lease, to move in, and still try to deliver all our stuff on time, and make our clients feel like we had no idea you even moved. When for us, it was like one of the most stressful things we've ever done. A partner leaves. All right, well, we just lost some equipment because they owned it. You know, we got to buy somebody out. We got to write someone a check. I wasn't planning to spend this much money right now. Right. Little things. I mean, some big, but little things like that are always popping up. And so now I think.
Now you've got the values down. It's driving forward, not.
We have a lot of things.
Constantly drowning.
We're constantly getting things down, and then there's just new things that we don't have down.
What we do is every job is so different, and every job is so custom. I mean, what we do is custom furniture. So that's another, besides the moving, like the back side of things, the front side of things. Every job. So it's like, all right, we're never going to do this little thing again.
Just have a standard process for everything. Yeah.
But then some jobs just a little bit different, and it works out fine. So
it's every year you just progressively got better. So you can't just jump ahead and be like, we need to be here. You're like, this year we need to get this much better. Yeah, this year we get this much better.
And this wasn't intentional, but I think so. We own everything that we have in the shop. We have no debt. We have no investors. We had started with zero capital. So while I take pride in that, it wasn't planned. Yeah. Like that wasn't really the plan. There was no plan. The plan was make stuff until we run out of work and then go get a job. Yeah. And that never happened. So that's awesome. I think that.
So to go from there to where you are now in 5 years. Yeah, it's about celebrating now, but keeping moving forward, right?
Yeah, and I mean the other big picture is that we didn't have this like huge goal and let's make it happen. It was like we've let things happen slowly. You know, we didn't just get a big job, hire 10 people. Oh, we got to get more jobs. We've let things happen slowly. You know, we've acquired machines and people and material at the right time. Yep. And we didn't just say, let's get 250 grand. Let's get all the machinery we need. Let's stock up on material. Yeah, let's buy, which is nothing wrong with that. No. And if I'd had another business, I would probably think way outside the box than how we started. Yeah. But I think that slow process has been, it kind of like speaks to what we do. Like we don't take everything so slow, but 6 to 8 weeks or 8 to 10 weeks is not something that most people are used to hearing. You want to go in, take it to the register and go home with it.
Yep.
And so we've kind of like said, like, this is a craft, like we're going to just let it grow. And like, we do value that like organic growth. And so, I mean, it's like relationships. You can't just like go in and buy a relationship. You've got to like we have clients that we've known for 4 or 5 years before we did that big job with them.
So it's like a balance between drive and pushing forward, but then being patient on a bigger level. So like macro level, you going up full steam ahead, but then, I mean, micro level, you full steam ahead, and macro level, you're like, well, we have to be patient and know that this is going to take time and build them relationships. So
I mean,
awesome.
You go back to 4.5 years ago, we didn't have a wide belt sander, we didn't have a sliding table saw, but because of relationships, we were loading up our truck and taking them to other shops and still making furniture because we had relationships with other shops in the area and stuff like that. So it even goes to that side of it, not even client relationships, but just shared work. I mean, we have people, other woodworkers and builders passing us work all the time because they know it's a better fit for us, but we love to be the first people to refer other builders for certain things as well that we know is a better fit for them. Goes back to kind of saying no to people. But
this guy's the right job for this and this. Awesome. I think that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I think that was cool.
So I guess I need to start a podcast so I can ask you some of these questions.
I love it. Yeah.